Oh, that didn't take long. Oh, that didn't take long at all. Oh. God!
Fatality.
What's up, everybody in Airland? David Adams here with Inside Sim Racing. I'm back in the review chair. In fact, I never left the review chair. Ever since the last video, I've just been sat here, listening to the saxophones get louder. And today, we're taking a look at the DX2 Ultra by Dynamic X. Let's get started. Now, before we get underway, I do want to mention that this is an early production unit, hence it's shipping in this old DX Winter 2 box here, and that we actually paid for this with our own money. Yeah, we got a little bit of a break on shipping, but this came out of our own pockets. And with that, all of the views and opinions expressed here are my own, and neither SimMotion nor the manufacturer have any editorial control over what's said in this video. And with all that disclosure nonsense out of the way, let's just get to the good part. Now, as always is the case with me, this isn't going to be one of those deep dive editorial types of videos. This is going to be more of a quick look to see who the target audience is for this product, get some impressions of it, and see how this product can actually stack up and help you in your sim racing experience. As alluded to before, the Dynamic X DX2 Ultra started life as the DX Winter 2. The manufacturer headlines this as adding motion without rebuilding your rig. As times evolved, so did this product, and it takes everything the DX Winter 2 offered and kicks it up a notch. Bam, bam, bam! That includes a 2° of freedom seat, which now features what they call a quasi-direct drive response tune, delivering 120 Newton meters of peak torque with the lightning quick response you would expect from a product twice this cost. It can deliver that kind of torque across a range of up to 10 degrees from center. The spec sheet touts speeds of up to 125 degrees per second and acceleration climbing up to 1300 degrees per second square. That means this seat is capable of simulating up to 1.15 G, or 11.3 meters per second squared if you're that way inclined. All while weighing 37 pounds and fitting into a footprint that's narrower than most sim racing seats on the market today. It's not only compatible with PC, but also with PlayStation 5. So that might be something to take into consideration when thinking about whether or not this belongs in your home. So let's take a look at what you get when you order the DX Ultra 2. When your motion seat arrives, you'll be greeted with a well-packaged item. Removing the product box from the shipping box and opening that up, you'll be immediately met with extra long power and USB cables, a cute little packet that has a warranty information card, a QR code for the online manual, and a Dynamic X sticker. And we all love stickers. We then get to the universal seat profile adapters for seats of all sizes. Dynamic X is nothing if not inclusive. Past this, we get to the main attraction, the DX2 Ultra seat mover itself. Now, I'm not gonna lie here, I actually found this product to be simultaneously heavier and lighter than I was expecting. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's down to the actuators being able to move freely when unpowered, so it's simultaneously more cumbersome and more controllable than I originally thought. Now, the keen-eyed among you may have already spotted this, but they even include an adorable aluminum ingot color-matched to the Dynamic X colors with a laser engraving of your unit's serial number. I guess that's one way to ensure you always have it handy. I want to talk about a few things I noticed when putting this seat mover together that I didn't really enjoy. The main thing is the difficulty of setting up the seat itself. In fact, if you have your rig already assembled and you have the seat mounted, there's quite a bit that you have to do. You pretty much have to remove the entire seat mounting assembly that you have in place and then drop this unit where that used to be. That requires left to right alignment as well as front to back. And that can be actually kind of tricky and pretty annoying. At least it was for me, but you guys know I'm a US Marine, so if I don't have my crayons in the morning, I can't do anything. That said, once you do get aligned left, right, forward, backward, as long as you have adjustable sliders on your seat, it should be relatively quick to get right back into your driving position that you had before. Now, if you don't have adjustable sliders on your seat for whatever reason, then I just feel for you. You're gonna be unbolting this thing and sliding this entire 37-pound unit plus the weight of your seat backwards and forwards, left and right, until it's just right. Something else I want to mention is that there is no park function on this seat, so unless you have it powered on, you really can't sit at your rig. So just keep that in mind as well. If you want to be able to use your rig without motion, or if you're playing a game that doesn't support motion, doesn't use motion, you have to have this unit on anyway, and that might get annoying. Just another thing to keep in mind before you make your purchase. So let's talk about that installation process. Now, the manual goes into great detail on this, and there's even a video on the website. So I'm just going to cover this at a 30,000 foot view. My only recommendation for this is to follow the video with the manual as a supplement. The video is just so much more helpful, especially if you're single track minded like I am. So with that said, you remove your seat and all of the original mounting hardware. At this point, if you have an H bracket in front of your seat, you're going to want to loosen that up fully so that you can slide it out of the way. You then assemble the seat mover according to the instructions, slide it into place, secure the bolts without tightening them, plug everything up, then power the unit on. Now for me, powering the unit on before tightening everything down helped me out the most, because that allowed me to sit in the seat and make sure that everything was lined up. Once I got everything lined up, I was then able to get out of the seat, tighten everything back down, hop back in the seat, and I was off to the races. Now with all that done, you're ready to start testing, tuning, and driving. But before we can have any fun at all, we gotta fire this thing up. All right, so here we are in the rig, we're on our seat, and we are ready and pumped to go. But before we get started, we have one more thing to do, and that is to update the firmware. DynamicX actually recommends you do this before you do anything else. So we're gonna go to the dynamicx.fun website and click on the support page. Then we're gonna go right here to where it says DX2 Ultra firmware and go view online. All right, so what that will do is that'll bring us over here to a GitHub page, and then we'll scroll down to where you see upgrading, and you'll see open dynamicx.fun/control/dx2. We're just gonna click on that, and then it will ask you to connect to a serial port. Now I've already done this, so you'll see that mine says COM13 paired, but yours might not say that. What it will ask you to do is you'll need to automatically detect it. It will have you disconnect and reconnect the USB cable, and then it will find it when you tell it to search, and then you just hit connect. And you can actually see it's giving me that right here. And because my firmware is already updated, I don't need to do this. But in order to do it for yourself, you would simply click upgrade to latest stable, and it will do all the work for you and reboot on its own. That's all you need to do. From there, all you need to do is click on the link to download the SimHub setup, but with the latest version of SimHub, it actually already includes the profiles, so we don't even need to do that step anymore. And this is a good time to mention that, yes, you do indeed need a SimHub license in order to utilize this product in full. On PC, you will need a SimHub license. It is $42 US, and I personally feel like they should have thrown that in. They didn't, so here we are. Again, take that into account when buying one of these. You're saving some money on the one hand, but you're spending a little bit extra money on the other hand. Just something to keep in mind. After setting everything up, what you'll see is the availability to kind of tune and tweak everything. I ran through all of these. I actually reached out to Darren, the CEO of SimMotion, for a little bit of help in getting this configured. He walked me through a good tip to a good starting point for you is to turn the motion all the way up, turn the smoothing all the way down or off for every single setting like you see here, and then activate each one at a time. So I turned everything off and then just had the one on, and I went up to 10% to start just to see how that feels. Went up to 20%, 30%, back down to 25%, back down to 20. So I went up in increments of 10, down in increments of 5, then up in increments of 1, just to see how everything feels. And then you turn that one setting off, turn the next setting on, and go from there. So what you want is the immersion and realism of the chassis articulation and the actual cues and sensations that you would get on track. Because remember, you're not trying to simulate just G-forces or just left to right body roll or just movement as you climb a hill and descend a hill. You're looking to improve your body's connection with the track with the vehicle. It's also super useful if you're like me and you do a lot of rally and drifting, because you can feel those transition points. You can feel right when the car is about to snap back the other way in the seat of your pants, a lot like you would in real life. One thing that I immediately noticed after getting the settings dialed in is just how quickly the motion actually disappeared. You forget that the motion system is even there. It morphs into being just you, your vehicle, and the road. And that's exactly what you want. Remember, when it comes to motion, less is more. You want subtle cues and inputs, not a violent roller coaster throwing you around the rig. At best, having the settings too high will ruin your immersion and connection with the vehicle, actually leaving you worse off than you were without it. At worst, you can actually injure yourself, others, or risk damaging the equipment that you've paid a lot of money for. For me, that connection came to fruition whether I was in Richard Burns' rally carving up hairpins with the tail out, sliding around drift parks in Assetto Corsa, or racing alongside opponents in Le Mans Ultimate. And what that means is that I now have yet another tool in my arsenal to help give me another advantage over the next person racing against me in Sim. Okay, so now the question becomes, all right, Dave, how much does all this cost? Well, taking a look over on the Dynamic X website, we can see that they have it currently listed for $1,399 US. Factoring in shipping, that brings us right around $1,600. And is that a lot of money? Hell yeah. But think of it this way, it's about half the cost of a full four-corner motion rig. Looking at it like that, and depending on your situation, it may become the bargain of the century. But that depends completely on you and your situation. And that about does it for me and taking a quick look at the Dynamic X DX2 Ultra. Let me know what you think down in that comment section below the like and subscribe button. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this and whether or not you actually plan on adding motion to your system knowing that something like this exists. As always, my name is Dave Adams, this is Inside Sim Racing, and I'll see you in the next one.